Welcome back to the Free Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Pandit Cole, and this is episode 2. It's been a minute since the first episode. I did state in a short that I posted on the channel that I was going to get back into the podcast at a future time. I have been posting the Village Cam series. So the Village Cam is just me walking around, talking about shit, get a little street side view of the city as I'm walking around and shit. If you've seen those, number 2 on Village Cam number 2, I showed downtown Sacramento, how it's kind of in a state of disrepair. Not kind of, it is in a state of disrepair. Sacramento, California is the capital of California, but there's this weird phenomenon. Let's talk about the weirdness of Northern California. So there's this weird phenomenon where everyone knows about LA, people know about Southern California, and we're gonna send energy towards those affected by the Southern California wildfires. We want to send the ancestors and the spirit guides to shield them from the fires, to guide them in their recovery from that tragic disaster. And that's also something I want to talk about. Let's branch off into that real quick. Why is Southern California on fire? Why, you ask? Well, it's because they didn't build the reservoirs. California was given hundreds and hundreds of millions, probably even billions of dollars to build reservoirs to stack up on water because we get droughts, and then when wildfire season comes, there's no water. And they knew this. They already knew this. The mayor of LA knew it. Governor Newsom knew it. They knew. California is corrupt. The politicians take the money, trick off with it, period. There was a relief effort to build housing for for unhoused people. And here in Sacramento, they never built it. Where'd the money go? They took it. California is extremely corrupt. California is the state capital. It's where the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense first presented themselves to the world on a global scale after storming the state capitol armed with rifles and shotguns. If you watch the footage, it's great. These fucking white people are so damn scared. They're like, a troop of armed Negroes has stormed the Capitol building. They don't know what the fuck to do. They don't know what the fuck to do. They never has seen that shit before. Black men armed, uniformed up like soldiers, mobbing through with rifles and shotguns. They never seen no shit like that before. A lot of Panthers stayed here in Sacramento. Sacramento, in the past, was a very significant place in California history because it is the state capital. And the state capital is where, laws are getting passed and all that kind of shit. So in the old days, it was more relevant. Now, there's this weird phenomenon where people all know about Southern California. People know about, like, San Francisco. But anything north of the Bay Area, people outside of California or people who've never been here have no idea about it. They don't even know what the fuck it is. They think Sacramento is part of the Bay Area. And we're 2 hours removed and we're nowhere near the ocean. So there's this weird phenomenon. And then Northern California is kind of spooky, bro. It's kind of creepy up here. I mean, I'm from Redding, which is 2.5 hours north of Sacramento. And out there, it's literally serial killer country. You have, disappearances, murderers, truckers, dropping bodies off at this side of the road. Truck stops, people getting killed at truck stops. Satanic cults, abductions, different rituals. You got clan members up there out in the woods and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's really just spooky in Northern California because it's very country. After you get past Sacramento, and even Sacramento is pretty rural compared to like LA or, the bigger cities in Southern California or San Francisco. So Northern California is kind of weird. People don't really know what it is up here, you know, or what it's like here. People don't really know about it. So what was it that I wanted to talk about? It was something about Northern California, wasn't it? I don't know. Maybe that was it. Yeah, the fires, and then you know, Northern California is weird. It's this weird phenomenon. So moving on to the next topic. In today's episode of Free Minds Podcast, I want to talk about the most important thing you need to know if you would like to free your mind. Or if you've already freed your mind and you want to elevate to a higher state of liberation in mind, body, heart, and soul, then that's why I'm here. Kundalini. 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 Exactly how it sounds. Wikipedia is your friend. You can research anything on Wikipedia. In school, they said, oh, you can't cite Wikipedia. It's not factual. It's not accurate. That's a lie. School is fucking bullshit. It's a lie. Wikipedia, when it comes to like celebrities, sometimes there's some shit on there that's inaccurate because someone typed it up and it might not be true. But as far as everything else goes, everything's accurate. They have admins who go through Wikipedia making sure the information's accurate. Everything that is entered into Wikipedia has to be cited in the source page, the source section in the very bottom of every single Wikipedia page. You can literally learn anything on Wikipedia. Plus, if you go to the Wikipedia page of a topic of interest that you're researching, it'll tell you the experts of that topic. It'll tell you what books you can get on that topic. It'll tell you anything else you need to go. And then, of course, you have YouTube. You can cross-reference with documentaries and videos that people have posted about different topics of interest. So that's why Wikipedia is your friend. Google Kundalini if you're not familiar. If you're a free mind or you're seeking a free mind, Kundalini. So before I can get into Kundalini, I have to go into a little bit of a breakdown on what is esoteric mysticism and the occult. What is esoteric? What is mysticism? What is the occult? What are these words I'm using? Esoteric essentially means relating to that which is of the spiritual realm, that which is of the ethereal realm, beyond regular physical matter. Mysticism is essentially just knowledge, the knowledge of the immense being everything in existence, the full scope of the universe and all multiverses, everything in existence. That is the immense. So mysticism is the knowledge of the immense. And the occult, O-C-C-U-L-T, literally just means hidden. Occult is hidden knowledge. So esoteric mysticism of the occult is the hidden knowledge of the immense that governs our dimensional plane of reality and existence. And it is that which permeates our consciousness. Esoteric mysticism of the occult is how you liberate yourself from the false identity matrix. It is how you achieve higher states of consciousness, higher frequencies of divine illumination. So there's a status quo in the contemporary world. The modern academia has established a minimized scope of what is considered true knowledge or true information or factual information. Science, history, mathematics, everything you learn in school and everything that they teach at the universities and everything they quote-unquote study, these things are minimized views. So it's a minimized view tailor-fitted based on the rhetoric and doctrines that they wanted us to have. It is not the limit of true science. It is not true science. Let me say that again. Universities, colleges, and schools, it is not true science. It is not the true science of life. Some aspects of it are true, but it is limited in scale and scope. Educated people believe that they have received the true extent of knowledge. They think that because they are educated, they are intelligent. They think that because they are educated, that they have true knowledge. That is not the case. That is not the case. Because the true science of life is esoteric mysticism of the occult. But if we want to take it out of the spookism and make it a little more scientific-y sounding, yes, I said scientific-y, you can call it metaphysics. Metaphysics. Meta being that which is beyond, and physics being physical matter, that which is beyond physical matter. Metaphysics deals with the full science of life. And not really the science of just life, but the science of existence. Because everything that exists, not just human beings, not just biology, but everything that exists, that is metaphysics. I am a metaphysician. I've been studying metaphysics for over 10 years. If I was at a university, I would have already graduated with a PhD for this shit. I started this shit when I was 16. Dropping out of high school, going into independent study, learning advanced metaphysics, becoming an author, studying literature, studying the evolution of fiction in all entertainment mediums. And I still went to college for a year as well, even after I ended up dropping out. So, and you don't even have to finish high school to go to community college, if you didn't know. But I did get my high school proficiency before I went to college, but you don't actually have to have it to go to community college. Anyone can go to community college. You don't need to finish high school to go there. And you don't learn anything after 8th grade, so high school is bullshit. It's fun. It's fun. You know, if you want to get high, smoke weed, you know, shit like that. That's what high school is for, getting high. But when it comes to metaphysics, it's the existence of everything. Metaphysics is hardwired into your brain. You know when you go to IKEA and you get a desk or something and you put it together and there's an instruction manual? Well, guess what? Human beings, we have instruction manuals built in, hardwired to our brains. And that's metaphysics. Metaphysics is the science of existence, and it explains everything. Metaphysics deals with health, climate, nature and environment, sociology, anthropology, biology, psychology, political matters. Metaphysics addresses all of these things, and it's already hardwired into our brains. The books and the research is not the answers, and that is the difference between being a polymath and being educated by the university system. I don't know if I talked about this in the last episode, but a polymath is a self-educated scholar. You can Google that and read up on the history of that. But within the education system, what they believe is the book is the answer, and the book is the facts, and the book is the limit of the knowledge. So if you don't have a book to present to say, well, this book says that this is true and it's accredited by their university system, they will say that it's false. That's called policing information. That's how you enforce mental slavery. When it comes to the full extent of knowledge, there is no limit, and the book is not the answer. A book was written by somebody. It's an interpretation. It's a matter of interpretation. Just because somebody who got a degree wrote it doesn't make it fucking true. Just because the fucking education system co-signed it doesn't make it fucking true. There's no such thing as truth until you decide what true is. Dr. Delbert Blair. And belief is more powerful and more omnipresent than truth. If you tell me 2 plus 2 is 4 and I tell you 2 plus 2 is 5, and I truly believe that 2 plus 2 is 5, nothing you say, do, or show me will change that fact. Therefore, me believing 2 plus 2 is 5 is more true than you saying 2 plus 2 is 4. You could show me 4 pens, split it into 2 and 2, and say, hey, look, 2 pens, 2 pens. 2 plus 2 is 4. There's 4 pens. Where's the 5th pen? I say, 2 plus 2 is 5. Nothing could change my mind about it. So for me, it's true. Your perception of what you believe to be true that's your reality. Reality isn't determined by politics. It's not determined by society. It's not determined by other people. Your reality is only determined by you, which that's something we'll go deeper into. But essentially, the only truth is that which you perceive, because belief is ultimate truth. You can't tell a Bible thumping Christian that Jesus wasn't real and that he didn't actually die on the cross. For them, he's a historical figure. You can't tell them he wasn't. So they believe that. So even if there was proof that he wasn't, anything you say to them would not change their mind. The only extent of truth is that which you perceive. There is no limit. And the books and the research, the point of reading books and educating yourself and doing research, yes, some things are accurate as far as historical records. They're uncompromised. You can find out things that are true and this and that and the third. But ultimately, when it comes to the research, the books are just posing questions for you to answer yourself. It provides you with information, and then you have to receive that information, and then up here you have to figure out, analyze, and break down, you know, what it means to you and what you believe to be true, and then apply the information. So the books are not the full knowledge. When it comes to mysticism and the true science of life, science of existence, metaphysics, the true, back in the ancient times, right, in the ancient world, there were different mystery systems, which originally was closer to one essential mystery system, or different sectors or sections of the mystery system, to which they had all this knowledge. So we have to go back in history. Go back in history. Let me take you to history class real quick. Check. Check. In history, they teach us ancient Egypt, that's the oldest civilization. Ancient Egypt was built by the Indo-Europeans. No, it wasn't. And then ancient Egypt became a part of ancient Greece. Ancient Greece falls. Ancient Rome rises. Ancient Rome falls. We enter the Dark Ages. Jesus was crucified by the Romans. You have BC, and then you have BCE before, or you have BCE and CE, before current era and current era, or BC and AD. AD is current era, CE, and BC is BCE, before current era. So the true history of the world, and mind you, this is my interpretation. You don't have to perceive this to be true. You can either agree with it or not. That's up to you to decide. But for me, this is what I've determined is truth. Ancient Egypt was not built by any Indo-Europeans. There's no such thing as an Indo-European. I don't know what that terminology even is. There's no such thing as that. Ancient Egypt was built by the Kushites. Kush is not the oldest civilization on this planet, because our planet has been around for trillions of eons, zillions, beyond time. I don't like how zillions sound. It sounds made up. Trillions of eons. Infinite eons. There was periods of time on this planet where gods, what we would perceive to be gods, existed, but they were just beings that had a full scope for metaphysics, and their reality was far more advanced than us. Not technologically, even though it was technologically more advanced. They had interdimensional starships and shit. Metaphysically, their reality was more advanced. We think we have advanced technology. We do not. We've gotten dumber. We've gotten to a point where your phone acts as a second brain, and your brain doesn't remember all the shit you keep stored in your phone. That's how we have devolved, and now we're trading over more and more of our mental capacity to artificial intelligence. But that's a deeper rabbit hole. Kush is not the first civilization. There was Atlantis, I believe, is most likely before Kush, and then before Atlantis there was ancient Lemuria. There was multiple different civilizations, and supposedly based on the metaphysics histories, you know, the different eras of the gods, as we will call them, you know, went into, you know, deeper levels of devolution until we became humans. And that history is a matter of interpretation, because it's folklore, essentially. It's mythology, but mythology is science. Mythology is science, and they don't teach you mythology correctly in the education system. Mythology is science. It's essentially in our times, it's like an archaic form of advanced technology. If you use mythology and folklore through mysticism of the occult in metaphysics, you can achieve a high level of science equal to that of what they're doing at Google. It's even more advanced than what they're doing at Google. What they're doing at Google and in all these different advanced technology companies is they're building machines that imitate what our brains already do. We only use 10% or less. The estimate is that we use 10% or less of our brain. I would say most motherfuckers are dumb as shit and use 3%. I hope I'm using more than 10, but I don't know. But if we're only using 10% of the brain, imagine what the other 90% can do. We should all be able to run as fast as Usain Bolt. We should all be able to swim like Michael Phelps. We should all be able to jump like Michael Jordan. Those are physical abilities that are stored in the brain that those individuals achieve through athletics. But everybody should be able to do these things. Teleportation, psychic ability. Psychic ability is a real thing. When you amplify your frequency of vibration, you achieve psychic energy. It's not just, I can read your mind. You're thinking of tacos. That's not what psychic energy is. Psychic energy is the amplified energy of your aura, which we will get into. So Kush is the oldest civilization on the historical record through which I have determined we can use as a focal point from which to build our new modern history. So Kush is after the eras of the gods. The Kushites were melanated people, melanated beings, melanated meaning what we today call black. Black is a false misnomer. When you call yourself a black, what you are identifying as is you are nothing. Black does not have a language. Black does not have a country of origin. It does not have a true heritage when you just say, I'm black. Because when you say you're black, you're saying, okay, I'm a black person in America. But a lot of people among the black community do not identify as Africans. People who are not conscious do not necessarily identify as being African, even though we are the descendants of Africans who came to these continents before slavery, but also during slavery, right? And then you have Africans on the continent who don't believe that African Americans are African because we're over here. So when you say, oh, I'm black, that was part of the programming. Originally, right? They're calling us niggers, which nigga means king. Nigga, N-E-G-U, nigga. That's why, to this day, people get scared when you say nigga, when it comes to, Anglo-Saxon fragilicists. If you say nigga around them, they get uncomfortable because you're invoking power. And any black person telling you not to say nigga is a servant of the system. Nigga means king. Every time you say nigga, you're affirming that you're king. You're not speaking ebonics or ignorance. You're speaking Kushite. Nigga, king. That's why they were calling us niggers. Because they were telling us you are a king, even though they put us in a state of enslavement. They were telling us our true history without us knowing. But they still were using the same etymology, they just altered it. So that's why it was so easy for us to flip it and just start calling each other niggas. Like, what up, my nigga? What up, my king? What up, my God? What up, my earth? It's power. So, first, they're calling us niggers, and I'm going to keep saying it because it probably makes you uncomfortable. That's because you are ignorant. You don't have the true knowledge of etymologies. You're too easily offended and too sensitive because of the modern culture of, well, you can't say this, you can't say that, and you can't do this, and you can't say that. They called us it, nigger. They called us niggers. They lynched us. We've been lynched in this country. We're still lynched in this country. You have Anglo-Saxon fragilicists who are racist that still call us niggers. So from then, they started calling us what? Negroes. You don't grow past the knees. Then we were colored folk, colored, and then after colored, black, Afro-Americans, then African-Americans. Now we're foundational black Americans and all this different shit. The farther you go from even saying that you're African, the worse off we are. Because at least if you're denoting that you're African, even though African isn't the true name of what we are as a people, because African denotes Africa, the continent, which they named Africa. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily the original name. But then there's also, I also have, this also can be very controversial. This is a very controversial episode already. Ancient Greece and ancient Rome, they were not Anglo-Saxon civilizations. Those were melanated civilizations. So now that I think of it, because basically what I had came across was some information where they said that Africa was named Africa based on like a Greek general or something, Africanus or something like that. But the truth that I discovered in my research was that ancient Greece and ancient Rome are in fact a part of African history or melanated history. But honestly, we all have the same ancestors, which is what I'm getting around to. So it's all of our history. But let me go back to Kush because I'm spiraling here. Kushites were melanated people. Melanin is the pigmentation that makes your skin darker. So, quote unquote, black people, we have more melanin. That's why they call us black. Melanin is concentrated dark matter. Dark matter is a real fucking thing. Even in the educated, even in the education system, they acknowledge the reality of dark matter. And what they've said themselves is the majority of the universe is made out of dark matter, and they don't know shit about it. That's what CERN's doing over there. Breaking open dimensional barriers and shit. They're trying to figure out what dark matter is because they're too fucking stupid to understand. Melanin is the Dracula particle. It's represented by 666, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons. It's a black hole. Every molecule of melanin is essentially a black hole that can transmute light into darkness and darkness into light. That's why melanated people can absorb more sunlight without getting skin cancer or, you know, falling out from heat exhaustion. We can absorb more sunlight because we have melanin, and the melanin is transmuting the sunlight into concentrated dark matter, and the concentrated dark matter back into sunlight, and it's like a radioactive process. The first people on this planet of our ancestors after the bygone era of the gods, they were all melanated because back then we were closer to the true nature of reality, so we had melanin in our bodies. So everybody was melanated. Your ancestors are the same as my ancestors. Melanated people of Kush, the original world empire before Egypt. The Kushites built ancient Egypt, which we call Kemet. In the black conscious community, we call ancient Egypt Kemet. So, the Kushites built ancient Egypt, Greece and Rome. We'll get into that at a different time. But essentially, the Kushites built ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt, Kemet. Kemet was kind of like the crown jewel of Kush. It was a staple of where we had gone with technology, advancement in sciences and information. And that it was kind of like the ultimate university and the highest culture and sciences. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like the Coachella of civilization. And what happened based on the history, and there is a book you can reference for this. I didn't just make this up. I didn't just get it off Wikipedia. There's a book written by Drusilla D. Houston called Wonderful Ethiopians of the Kushite Empire, published in 1926. And sometimes when it comes to a book like that, Drusilla D. Houston, she was channeling information from the Akashic records that she was scribing in the capacity of a griot. So the Wonderful Ethiopians of the Kushite Empire explains that the Kushites were the first civilization of Nubians, melanated people, who built ancient Egypt, and then ancient Egypt, you know, goes to ancient Greece, Rome. So ancient Kush is a world empire. We all have the same ancestors. So, as descendants of Kushites in the Americas, we had the indigenous peoples, right? So you have the Native Americans in Northern America. You have the First Nation tribes up in Canada. You have the Aztecs, the Incans, the Mayans, all of the Latino, Hispanic civilizations in the lower Americas who worshipped the Olmec gods, who were depicted as melanated people with African features. The Olmecs were the Kushites that were in the southern Americas before the Aztecs and Incans and Mayans, all different civilizations. You had the Aborigines in Australia, and then you have Kushites who you know, migrated over into Asia, and that's where a lot of the Chinese lore comes from with kung fu and the systems of martial arts. And then the indigenous people of Korea, ancient Korea, they migrated over into Japan, and that's where we get the emergence of samurais and ninjas, and that's the correlation between Japanese culture and contemporary Black American culture, or African culture, or melanated culture. But it's just all world culture, because like I said, we all have the same ancestors. Your ancestors are the same as mine, because we all date back to the Kushites, period. At one point, the pigmentations started to differ. Some people say Yakub created white people, and you know, this, that, and the third, you know, whatever. I don't know how it happened, but at one point, different pigmentations did take place, and then through the assimilation of what are today, you know, I'm referring to as Anglo-Saxon people, or quote-unquote white people who have very little melanin in their pigmentation. You have different bloodlines combining, and then you have a whitening of bloodlines, just in terms of the lessening of the melanin, to where we are today, where we all have different quote-unquote races. But there's only one species of human. A Hispanic person, Latinx, and a black person, or a white person and an Asian person, they're not a different species. They've convinced us that. That's what they were saying back during slavery, that black people were, you know, animals and part ape or part beast, and that we weren't human. But as we know today, all of us are human beings, and we're only one species. There isn't a different species between us. So that means that we all have the same common ancestor, apically, A-P-I-C-A-L, apical. Our apical ancestors, if you go all the way back up the family trees, all the way to the beginning of time, they had to be the same species, because there's not different species of humans, so they had to be the same. Historically, people want to say, well, I'm white, I'm black, I'm Hispanic, I'm Asian. Originally, the apical ancestors were all the same, which comes out of the cradle of civilization, which is modern-day Ethiopia, ancient Kush, Proboscis, the crown temple of the goddess Sekhmet, and King Ra, the sun god. Aten, being the mind of the universe that we all exist in. So they had ancient mystery systems in Kush, which were passed on to Kemet, ancient Egypt. The Kemites essentially decided that they no longer wanted to be governed by the Kushite priesthood, which was the ancient priesthood of the high priests who were in charge of the sacred information. Because, as with today, there's always prophets and scribes and masters of the esoteric knowledge, who their job is to keep that knowledge. And then you have regular people who don't deal with that on a day-to-day basis, because most common people of common consciousness can't perceive it. That's why back then they had cults. They had different cults. So you might be a member of the Ra cult, but you're not the high priest of the Ra cult temple. That temple has a high priest or multiple high priests who are part of the Kushite scribehood, and they are the ones who regulate that temple, and then regular people come there as worshipers or as members of that cult. So, and then you have like the monarchy, whoever was ruling, you know, whatever emperor, kings there were, and queens that were in charge. And then you have like royal bloodlines, aristocrats. I'm sure there was rich people and lesser rich. But I think back then it was more of an equal, you know, equal. The wealth, I think probably, you know, as far as, I mean, I don't know. This is just interpretation. I would hope that back then it wasn't like today, where you have people who are like groveling in the gutter and, you know, slaves and unhoused and shit like that. I would hope it was more of an equal disbursement of wealth, to where there might have been aristocrats and monarchy, but regular people were still probably living pretty decently, because back then we had the proper sciences of how to live our lives and how to, you know, how to function in the world before we got to things like war and famine and all of the genocide and all these different evils that have come into the world. So the ancient mystery systems that the Kushite priesthood governed, the Kemites decided they didn't want to be part of the Kushite priesthood. They wanted to create their own cults and their own priesthood. And there was a feud between Kemet and Kush, and eventually the Kushite priesthood broke down, which resulted in Kush essentially breaking down. And then you have different warring states, and then you have the progression of, you know, civilization from Kemet to ancient Greece. and Kemet being retained as a part of ancient Greece as a information sector and as a education center. So the mystery systems created in Kemet are what evolved into modern day religions and also the different mystic systems. So Christianity, Islam, Judaism all originate out of Kemet. All of the information of the esoteric mysticism in the occult, all of the original metaphysics, it was all scattered and split into different debris of different systems. So today you have the modern religions. Back then, I can't get to that yet. It got split into different systems. So when it comes to restoring your apical knowledge of metaphysics, you must return to the mind of the original people of the Kushites, to their consciousness, their frequency. You have to put the pieces back together. So you can't just follow one dogmatic system or one dogma or one doctrine or one religion or one system. You can't. You have to put the pieces together if you want to truly have a comprehension of this. So when it comes to Buddhism, they have the Eightfold Path to Enlightenment. Meditation, Zenism. You also have the different Eastern philosophies of thought. You have Taoism and Taoism, the Confucian Analects, the Tao Te Ching, knowing the way to no way is the power to create a way from no way. That is the way of no way. That's Tao Te Ching. This reality we exist in is also referred to as the Tao. Your mind's perception determines reality. So you have those systems. Hinduism teaches you the veneration of gods within I and I self. So in school they teach you that, they worship the corn god because he was the god of corn. In ancient Kush, they had a comprehension that the different deities that they had that were gods who were venerated, those were entities those were energies that they could tap into and venerate within themselves. They didn't just worship Ra as if he were in the sky. They worshiped the aspect of what Ra represented within themselves and venerated themselves. And that's the true science. So Hinduism has retained that. So if you study Hinduism, you can learn the true veneration of gods, which will help you further comprehend the Kemetic system of the ancient Egyptian gods with Osiris and Isis and Anubis, Heru, all of that. It's all different systems. Kabbalah has a lot of science in it. A lot of science is in there. And if you're not of the Jewish faith, you're most likely not going to come into contact with Kabbalah. You might not have ever even heard of Kabbalah. Kabbalah has the Tree of Life. You might have heard of the Tree of Life. That's one thing that I, came into contact with before I even knew what Kabbalah was. I haven't gone deep into the study of Kabbalah. Kabbalah also has an advanced numeric system, the gematria of ancient numerology. So it's all split into different systems, and then you have the modern religions. You have Islam, you have Judaism, you have Christianity, and each of those Bibles, the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, they each have different fragmented aspects of metaphysics and the occult in there that you can retrieve and apply to yourself. I think, for me at least, when it comes to religion, I think the religion that you grow up with, it's easier to use it. So like, I come from a Christian background, was raised Christian, was a part of my church. Even after I no longer followed organized religion, I still joined a church and became part of a church so that I could go through a process of spiritual rejuvenation to rejuvenate myself, because I had become spiritually dead at that time. Story for a different time. But through Christianity, it's easy for me to extract biblical parables and, decode the metaphysics within it, because I come from that background. So you can still be part of your religion and free your mind. It's just, you don't want to be in a state of blind faith. You want to be able to perceive beyond just what you were told or what you were taught the limit of the ceiling is. There is no limit. The sky isn't the limit. There is no limit to the sky. You know what I'm saying? It's infinite. So it all got broke up into different systems. So then in India, they have yoga, Hinduism, and Kundalini is a part of that. Kundalini is essentially what we can use as an almost universal expression of metaphysics. And it defines a lot of the science that you need to know to free your mind and to evolve as a human being. So now we're going to go into the Kundalini. The body has 7 energy centers called chakras. Chakra. If you ever see Naruto, chakra, you have 7 chakras in the body. They're not metaphorical. They are metaphysical, but they are real scientific energy centers. Your nervous system is constantly sending electricity throughout your body from your brain, allowing your body to move. And it's going through your nervous system, it's going up and down your spine, and it's going through these energy centers. There's 3 energy centers. They follow the spine up into the brain. There's 3 lower centers, 3 higher centers, and then you have your crown chakra. The 3 lower centers are below the heart. They are the lower frequencies. Most people are operating in their root chakra, the very lowest one. They're not even up to the base chakra or the core chakra. They're in the very fucking bottom one. Most people, NPCs, most unawakened people who are not free of mind, who are slaves to society, they do not have even the remotest higher frequency. They're in the lowest frequency, operating on base impulse. Eat, shit, piss, fuck, get money, follow the rhetoric of society. That's the base frequency. You're a fucking caveman. Like, you're out here just an NPC. You're a slave to society. You have no comprehension of the immenseness of your physical being. You only know your physicality. Most people who are unawakened, they're operating based on physicality alone. That's why they only give a fuck about money, possessions, and physical carnal desires. Eating, sleeping with people. That's all base impulse. There's higher frequencies within that, but if you're on a fucking root chakra, you're in the lowest fucking shit. So the lower 3 chakras are essentially your lowest emotions. And Master Panic, a metaphysician who has made transition, bliss in paradise, Master Panic, he explained that the lower 3 chakras is almost like the sword and the stone of King Arthur. You have to cultivate your energy centers in those 3 chakras and then raise that energy up and insert it into the heart, which is kind of like representative like slaying the dragon by inserting the sword into the dragon's stomach and slicing it open. So the 3 energy centers, you have to cultivate them and then direct that energy into the heart chakra, which is the lowest of the 3 higher chakras. You have the heart chakra, throat, and mind, right? And the 3 lower ones. But once you get past the 3 lower ones, the root, base, and core, the core is in the center of your stomach area, solar plexus. Solar, sun energy, divine light, radiance. It's also called the flames of vital force. Kundalini energy is dragon fire or serpent's fire flames. It's represented by a serpent or a snake rising through your body, but it's literally a radioactive surge of electricity that's traveling from the base of the spine, from your reproductive system, up through your spine into your brain, activating the pineal gland, which is with a gland within the brain, which is also known as the third eye, which is where you receive expanded consciousness into the crown chakra. The heart chakra is also represented by the goddess Kali. She is a goddess of destruction, but she is also a goddess of immense wisdom, and she's also sometimes venerated as the goddess of the universe itself. Kali bestows you with a Brahman, represented by the Hindu god Brahma, the immense knowledge of divine enlightenment, which is how you become Vishnu, the venerated one, the Christ consciousness, the Messiah, the Messianic consciousness. Kali, once you are able to activate your heart chakra and open it up, we'll talk more about processes of how you do these things in future videos, but right now I'm just talking about the system itself. Once you're able to open up your heart chakra and feel, a higher fathom of emotions, and you're able to open up that heart chakra, Kali purges whatever impurities are left from the heart so that you can rise up into the throat chakra. And she is the goddess who anoints you with the divine wisdom to become illuminated. Once the energy travels from the heart chakra up to the throat chakra through, the spinal column. The throat chakra is your speech, that which you speak. Everything we speak are spells. Your voice and your ability to speak is very powerful. That's why mantras are powerful. Qi Gong Tao Shambhala Shu Gen Do. Do you hear the vibration of my voice? Do you feel the frequency? That is a frequency. That's a mantra that I'm able to generate qi through. Your voice chakra is highly important, and it's also the bridge between the heart and the brain. When you have a higher frequency of Kundalini, you don't speak false things, you only speak truth. From the throat chakra, we enter the mind chakra, the pineal gland, which is where all of this energy that's been surging up, purified through the heart, through the throat chakra, into the brain. Now you're using your fucking brain. Now you're increasing your brain percentage. You're now using the pineal gland. Now you're accessing the third eye, the mind's eye, which gives you access to the mind of God or the mind of Jah, the mind of the immense. God is the universal collective oneness of all consciousness and existence. It's not a guy in a white robe with a white beard sitting on a cloud watching us like Santa Claus to see if we're naughty or fucking nice. God is the oneness of all things. There is, though, an extent of Godism, even in the highest metaphysics, because we as humans are so flawed that sometimes you have to just reach out for God. And whatever your God is, that's fine. Your God can be whoever you want your God to be, but I'm just talking about in terms of metaphysics. When we talk about Godhood, we're talking about the God within I and I self. And really, even if you do have a personification of who your God is, your goal should be to be like that God. You know what I'm saying? Your goal should be like your prophet. To be like Christ or Buddha. To achieve that level of love and enlightenment. That's what Kundalini does, to achieve Christ consciousness. So once you've fully awakened the mind chakra, you're able to enter the crown chakra. The crown chakra is here at the top of the base of the head, the farthest extent of your body, where your body comes to an end. And it extends into your aura. Your energy aura, you've probably heard the word aura before, is the energy barrier around you. And it's bigger than your body because your soul is bigger than your body. Your soul's like 10 feet tall, could be bigger. Your body's only, 5'8", 6'3", whatever. Your aura extends beyond you. The higher your frequency goes, the farther your reach. You can get to a point where your whole neighborhood is encompassed by your aura when you wake up and you upload reality. So the crown chakra is the aura that extends, and when you achieve the full awakening of it, it's called Thousand Petal Lotus. But I just use Thousand Petal Lotus just as something to aim for. Thousand Petal Lotus, when you enter the crown chakra consciousness, it's essentially the mystic realm of Kunlun. In Chinese lore, they have a dimension called Kunlun, which is a terminology I use to describe the infinite bliss of shamanic ecstasy that you're able to achieve through Hotepism, the proper way for being. Once you attain Hotepism, the proper way for being, you are then able to achieve the highest frequency and enter God consciousness or Christ consciousness or the venerated state of Vishnu through the immense goddess, Kali, Lakshmi, Shakti, divine goddess of Kundalini, mother of creation, Anana Ishtar Aset. Ashe. She is the triple black goddess of the immense, the triple goddess. And the only way to receive the divine illumination of the immense goddess is to attain Thousand Petal Lotus of the crown chakra. As a venerated Vishnu, you must become a venerated Vishnu. So, essentially, that is the Kundalini system. Now, to cultivate Kundalini, there's many different things you must do. You must live a pure life. You must purify yourself of vice and evils. You must become a pure being, pure of heart, loving, caring, empathetic, compassionate. You must do self-therapy. You must release yourself of traumas, all these different things. It's a continual journey. It's not like it's something that ever stops. It'll continue your entire life until you achieve transcendence and you ascend into the realm of the ancestors and you return back to being a spirit being among the realm of the immortals. But that is Kundalini, and Kundalini is the true science. Kundalini can keep you well in your health. You don't have to go to these fucking death factories that they call hospitals with these agents of death that they call doctors. Heal yourself. You stay well. If you're in a state of wellness, you remain well. You remain unaffected. by ill health. Ill health is caused by ill habits. Eating wrong and behaving wrong will make you sick. So there's a lot of things you have to do on the path of Kundalini. For me, I think initially the thing that really started to help me make progress was the Eightfold Path of Enlightenment from Buddhism. The Eightfold Path of Enlightenment, I think it puts you on the path of Kundalini without you even realizing it. And then along the way, you will just become, you'll get to where you'll understand more and more of it. It'll just become awakened to you. The knowledge, it's in here. It's not in a book. You can read different books. If I had to recommend you a book, I'd recommend Pandit Krishna, the Kundalini master. He wrote a book about his experience awakening to Thousand Petal Lotus. Pandit Krishna, he's on this channel. I have a playlist with his videos on there. You can go watch. He did like 2 videos that are hour back. This is back in, I don't even know when, 60s, 70s. And then there's like a video that's like 4 hours long, and he talks about all of this. He talks about Kundalini. He even talks about it even better than me, because he achieved Thousand Petal Lotus. Like, I'm a fucking novice compared to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a fucking amateur. I haven't achieved Thousand Petal Lotus. He meditated for like 35 years and achieved Thousand Petal Lotus. And he meditated like just in the morning, like half an hour in the morning each day type shit, and eventually achieved Thousand Petal Lotus. And that's its own conversation. But in this video, I really just wanted to address the falsehoods of the education system and world history, to present to you an alternative narrative, that the history of Kush, the different mystic systems, Kundalini itself, a general overview. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment any questions. Feel free to comment any info wars. If you totally disagree and want to do a whole paragraph explaining why I'm so wrong, feel free. If you have any questions about anything you want me to further explain or further talk about, or topics of interest, anything like that, feel free to comment in the comment section. You know, like, subscribe. If you came across this video, I hope that you are advancing on your progress in your spiritual quest to attain Hotepism, the proper way for being, and become an evolved being. I call forth the ancestors and spirit guides to guide you in your quest. I affirm your wellness and health and being, your divine protection and shielding, your divine guidance, your immense wealth and abundance. And on that note, as always, remain free of mind. Ashe. Job bliss.
Total shock entertainment.